thriving sprawl of Tarmhaven, twin brothers were born beneath the orange gleam of flame-kissed skies. Tarmhaven, once shackled beneath the oppressive heat of Akazar the Raging Flame, a fire primordial of immense power, had grown mighty in its master's slumber. The great being now lay dormant in the form of a roaring, unmoving pillar of fire at the heart of the city, feared, worshipped, and studied in equal measure. Dragons, once adversaries of mortal empires, avoided the city entirely, for even their pride bent beneath the thought of Akazar's awakening. The brothers, Vaylin and Malric, were mirror images in appearance, differing in temperament. Vaylin was thoughtful, deliberate, always a step behind, but never a step wrong. Malric was impulsive, with a grin like a flickering candle and thoughts that burned too fast to hold. Together, they were inseparable, illusionists of prodigious skill, scholars of the arcane, and collectors of eldritch tomes. Their private library on Blackbanners Ride was whispered about in Candlekeep's halls as a growing treasure trove of obscure magical theory and forbidden lore. Their studies brought them, inevitably, to the subject of primordials, especially the one whose flame crowned their city. It was during the study of a ruined Netherese scroll in Candlekeep that they found mention of a Sphinx said to dwell within the mind of a sleeping god, guarding the threshold of true madness. Her name was Firaline, and her riddles, it was said, could unravel or preserve Akazar's mind. Worse still, they uncovered signs of the cult of the reborn flame, a circle of zealots who had used forbidden rites to embed themselves within Akazar's dreaming psyche, hoping to awaken him and burn away their mortality, even if it meant incinerating the city itself. The only way to confront them was to enter the mindscape of the primordial itself, a psychic battlefield of flame and madness. With hands clasped and voices as one, the twins cast the gate spell, a magic that required not just power, but unity. A shimmering tear in reality opened, and in that instant, they stepped into fire, into dream, into the god mind of Akazar. Flame, color, chaos. Their first impressions were barely coherent. Cities crumbling in reverse, suns dripping upward, memories stitched to flames. The inside of a primordial's mind was not made for mortals. But amid the mental tempest stood an oasis of regal calm, a chamber of gold and silence, wreathed in scarlet and saffron flame. Their minds strained under the pure weight of the mindscape. There she was, Firaline, the Sphinx of golden fur, her blue-tipped wings folded like silken scrolls, her red mane crowned in gold, and amber eyes sharper than any blade. She stood atop a heap of treasure, memories, moments, dreams, secrets, all forged into mental artifacts. "I am the warden of Flame's thought," she said, voice echoing like thunder over still water. "You seek to cleanse the corruption within the sleeping flame. I can anchor your minds, but only if you prove your own are worthy." Riddle 1. There are two sisters. One gives birth to the other, and she, in turn, gives birth to the first. Who are they? Vaylin spoke slowly. Day and night. One awakens the world, the other cradles it in dream. Malric added, "They are reflections, cycling ever forward. Day brings clarity, night brings memory." Firaline nodded. One shard returned. Riddle 2. Each morning I lie at your feet. All day I follow, no matter how fast you run. Yet I perish in the midday sun. "A shadow," said Malric, too quickly, but Firaline's tail flicked. "And what is a shadow?" she asked. Vaylin murmured, "The part of ourselves shaped by light, that which shows what we hide." Malric closed his eyes. To confront it, we must fight what we fear. Their own shadows rose, arcane doubles, twisted and imperfect. Mirrors of pride and failure. A brief but harrowing duel followed, Illusion magic danced like liquid light, and when it ended, the brothers stood, winded but victorious. Firaline's voice was warm now. To live with shadow is to walk the line between light and dark. 2 shards returned. Riddle 3. There are 4 brothers. The first runs and never tires. The second eats and is never full. The third drinks and is always thirsty. The fourth sings a song never good. Water, fire, earth, and air, said Valen and Malric now in chorus. The Sphinx turned, her wings stirring. You will walk among them soon. Your journey does not end here. And she showed them glimpses. The eternal storm of the plane of air, the furnace depths of fire, the endless maw of earth, and the drowned silence of water. She did not explain why. Sphinxes rarely do. The final riddle broken, Firaline opened a portal of liquid fire. The brothers stepped through into a core of living flame, the heart of Akazar's soulscape. There, amid the spiraling embers, stood Inar Venenelin, high priest of the cult of the reborn flame. His arms raised, chanting in Ignan, flames dancing between his palms like puppets. The brothers moved in perfect synchrony. Major image, dragons of flame and fury surrounded Inar, shaking his confidence. Shadowblade. Valen dashed in, slicing through the false priest's magical wards. Mirror image. Malric's form split into 3 dancing illusions, dodging firebolt and flamewave alike. Inar screamed, his body unraveling as the ritual collapsed. As his mind was cast out of Akazar's, the pillar of flame at the center of Tarmhaven flared once, then returned to stillness. The Sphinx stepped forward, her golden crown gleaming. You have upheld reason amid madness, grace amid fire. For this, a final gift. Behind her opened another portal, a brass archway, flickering with heat. Through it, the towers and floating barges of the city of brass could be seen, distant and beckoning. This is your next path, and one last riddle for my own delight. The cost of making only the maker knows, valueless if bought, but sometimes traded. A poor man may give one as easily as a king. When one is broken, pain and deceit are assured. The brothers looked to one another. No spell, no word passed between them. They knew the answer, and they spoke it together. A promise through trust. Firaline smiled for the first time. Correct. Go then, with it held between you. Lose it, and all is lost. They walked through the gate into fire once more, now with the call of a future yet unwritten. And behind them, the Sphinx returned to her chamber of riddles, her crown gleaming in eternal dusk, a keeper of secrets, and riddles aplenty. Sphinxes protect the secrets of the multiverse. Formed from the spirits of sages and explorers, Sphinxes know the power of truth and the importance of preserving it. They share their wisdom only with those who prove themselves wise or overcome tests of worthiness, such as riddles or battles with dangerous beasts. Through their existences, Sphinxes might change form as they gain more nuanced understanding of cosmic enigmas. A Sphinx of wonder is brightly feathered and the size of a lion cub. One comes into being every time a unique idea is conceived on the material plane. Each Sphinx of wonder is fascinated by a particular type of story or field of study, and it learns all it can about that topic. It bears a unique sigil on its forehead that suggests the type of knowledge that fascinates it. Sometimes, a Sphinx of wonder forms a bond with a mortal scholar and aids them in their research. Sphinxes of secrets are commonly associated with a site of great magic or learning. These immortal beings often outlive such locations, though, and might protect a site's ruins as they continue their own studies. Sphinxes of secrets fiercely guard their dwellings and research. Some scribes, note that the gods created sphinxes to test the mettle of heroes, or to protect sacred locations. Others voice, they are primordials birthed in a time before gods. Sphinxes of lore each know a great secret and protect it at all costs. This truth might take the form of an ancient text, a magical puzzle, or a path to another world. These sphinxes might gain reputations as sages or oracles, but they typically dwell far from civilization. Sphinxes of valor guard world-changing or dangerous secrets, evidence of weird truths, deadly artifacts, and things that shouldn't exist. They inhabit hidden, magical sites and hold their duty above mortal life. If threatened, a Sphinx of valor defends its charge with its supernaturally empowered roar and fierce strikes. Often they live in sacred isolation, guarding the secrets and treasures of the gods. They test the worth of those who seek the treasures of these gods, whether forgotten secrets or mighty spells, artifacts or magical gateways. If one decides to engage in the trials, they are bound to that test unto death, and only those worthy will survive. Some of their kind are simply embodied spirits, brought into the mortal realm by devout prayer or direct intervention. A conversation with one of their kind may begin within a rumbling tomb, only to shift and change into a life-size magical game board, or a perilous cliff that must be climbed within a howling storm. Within these general allocations of sphinxes lie more robust outlines from scribes, focused on the subspecies of the sphinx. Androsphinx are huge, winged mythological creatures with the bodies of male lions and man-like facial features. These creatures are the most solitary of the sphinx. They shun gynosphinx due to their jealousy of their intelligence. What is strangest about these sphinx is not their combination in terms of their appearance, but their apparent lack of purpose. They are by far the strongest of their kind, but unlike their counterparts, they have no true pattern of behavior universal to themselves. In short, they are free, roaming sphinxes sworn to defend others of their kind against other races, namely humanoids. They have been known to bargain on occasion, but due to their low greed, this is indeed a rarity. Outwardly gruff and downcast, they often begin conversations with insults or negative observations. Beneath their gruff exterior lies a noble heart. An Androsphinx tests the courage and valor of supplicants by forcing them to complete quests that often have extraordinary elements to completion. Cryosphinxes have the bodies of winged lions, but they have the head of rams. They prize wealth and usually extort passers-by for safe passage in exchange for a hefty bribe. They're often found in packs of 2 or more, but only because all of their kind are looking for the same gynosphinx. Their unique ability to speak with animals seems to be an evolutionary necessity, as they are particularly fond of warm wooded areas, often bordering on desert lands. The gynosphinx is the female counterpart of the Androsphinx, having a winged lion's body and human-like facial features. They are nearly as powerful as their male counterparts, but are much more knowledgeable, clever, and wise. These sphinx are solitary by nature, but not by choice. They spend most of their lives avoiding the advances of cryosphinxes, which they detest, and hyracosphinx, which they fear while searching high and low for an androsphinx. They are intelligent enough to actively seek out ruins and mystical places, like forgotten temples, which if found, they almost always occupy. Using their many spells, they learn about the setting, then wait for the next group of travelers, scribes, or adventurers to come by and hope that they've encountered an androsphinx in their travels, or have a magical means of finding one. They are also virtual libraries of knowledge and lore, asking riddles and presenting puzzles to test the wit of supplicants that come to learn their secrets. Hyracosphinxes are the only evil members of their breed, having the bodies of lions, but the wings and head of hawks. They live in hilly regions exclusively, dwelling in caves overlooking the nearby deserts, delighting in evil and sometimes gathering in bands of as many as 6 to do their vile business. Most often, when they are encountered, they are in pursuit of an androsphinx, which they hate with all their fervor. Hierarchosphinxes are belligerent mutations of unknown origin. It is believed that they were created by elder gods of evil to wreak havoc on the other, more pleasant of their kind. Silvery Moon's night air was cool and still, broken only by the soft rustle of parchment as Mordenkainen slid a thick folio across the stone table. Elminster, legs crossed and pipe smouldering, raised an eyebrow. "You've been reading Volo again, haven't you?" Mordenkainen asked, voice dry as old vellum. Elminster puffed once and gave a small, amused shrug. "Entertaining, if nothing else, though his entry on sphinxes is as shallow as a Kalimshan puddle in high sun." Mordenkainen raised an eyebrow, as if amusement mixed with disgust passed his rapport. "He treats the subject as if it's a tavern tale. Gynosphinx this, Androsphinx that, believing those were the only ones that ever existed. The realms are broader than his little index." "You forget," Elminster said with a sly grin. "He once tried to interview a Lamia and nearly lost a leg. He's cautious now." "That's no excuse for omission," Mordenkainen replied, opening the folio. "There are creatures bearing the name Sphinx that his quill wouldn't dare imagine. Look." He turned the page to a sketch of a muscular, jackal-headed beast crouched in windswept sands. The Canisphinx, jackal-faced, eyes like molten gold. Predatory, silent, found one on a mirrored Terril, east of the crystal dunes. It watched us for 3 days before it moved. When it did, 3 people died. Sounds less like a riddle master and more like a divine punishment, Elminster muttered. "Do they speak?" "Rarely," Mordenkainen stated. "But they understand with a deep comprehension, like they're listening for something older than the language they receive, as if the gods would be the only viable audience." He flipped again. This time, the creature on the parchment bore a wolf's head, its fur tangled with ivy. Luposphinx. Found one in the wooded areas around Lurkwood. It walked with me for miles, spoke of memories dying in the Feywild. An evil, vile creature, spoke out its deepest desires, facilitated by its gnoll subjects. It mentioned that it twisted the thoughts of elves for its pure enjoyment. "That's nothing like the sphinxes I remember," Elminster said, eyes softening. "Thought of them as keepers of forgotten truths. Quiet ones, not brutes in a lion's skin. And then this curious thing." Another page turned. A scaled face, hooded like a cobra, met their gaze with inked intensity. Saurosphinx. They move between riddles. An endless stream of questions, polite but unrelenting, and never with a defined purpose. An almost useful debate. Elminster laughed, nearly choking on his pipe smoke. A sphinx with the manners of a magistrate and the soul of a census taker. I'd love to see one interrogate Volo. Seems like it would fit his intellect as well. He'd last 3 minutes. 4 if the Saurosphinx was feeling generous. Their humor dimmed slightly, as Mordenkainen drew a finger along the edge of the folio. "Now, let's clear a common misconception. Dracosphinxes." Elminster nodded. "Ah yes, the red dragon-headed beasts sulking over cliff faces in Mulhorand. I've met one. So many riddles, through more extravagant contests, and more roaring." "Exactly," Mordenkainen said. "They're mistaken as kin because of their leonine bodies, but their minds are fire and pride, as if the gods weren't involved with their designs. Surely a mage with their mastery over illusions," Elminster finished. "And in wild space," Mordenkainen continued, "the Astrosphinxes. Theories at best. Ephemeral. Some say they drift through time as easily as the void, but no reliable record proves they are true sphinxes." Elminster tilted his head to the stars. "What makes a sphinx then, if not the body, the face, the wings? Let's read. This section, I believe he has got mostly correct. Another sight as rare as this sphinx. Astrosphinxes are a malevolent breed of sphinx whose origins are shrouded in mystery. This creature is covered with brass-coloured scales, like those of a dragon. A pair of huge bat wings sprout from its back, the head resembling a goat skull with tiny pinpricks of violet light in its eye sockets. They are fiercely territorial and challenge all intruders to a contest of riddles, similar to their kin. Those who answer incorrectly, or do not have an answer at all, are killed outright. Due to their dementia, the Astrosphinx challenges all living things, even birds, small animals, and plants. Their madness renders their riddles unanswerable and illogical. What is the speed of blue? How loud is down? What do a kobold and the Spelljammer have in common beside triangles? Unfortunately, they are often the only creature left on a given planet due to this unanswerable nature. Some scribes, legends state, have solved their mad riddles by giving an equally mad or nonsensical answer. However, this works so rarely that it is purely myth at this given stage. Elminster looked up at Mordenkainen. I had one ask me, "What is the speed of blue?" Once. I answered thistleberry jam, just to keep its attention off my apprentice. Did it work? No, it disintegrated her. Complained she blinked too loud. With a slight, edged, uneasy chuckle from Elminster. Between your planes and my scrolls, Elminster said. We might even get it mostly right. Mordenkainen when we sit down with Volo next, although I hope that is a while away. In the burning halls of a sleeping primordial's mind, the brothers found more than riddles. They found a teacher of truth. Firaline, the eternal warden, provided challenge. With the delicate, dangerous art of understanding, a master of riddles and knowledge. From her, they learned that knowledge is not wisdom unless shaped by self-reflection. That power is not strength unless tempered by restraint. That the mind is a maze, where even the wise may wander and lose their way. And that to solve another's riddle, one must often first answer their own. She taught them that even in the heart of chaos, there is order, if you're willing to see it. That illusions can be weapons, or they can be mirrors. That your shadow walks with you, and to deny it is to walk blind. But her greatest lesson was quiet. That trust between minds, between brothers, is the only magic that cannot be faked. Firaline watched them go, now as pilgrims, carrying her wisdom similar to a flame cupped between trembling hands, to the city of brass, to uncover new secrets.